Okay, so what we're going to talk about first is the different reports. I'm actually going to share a different screen to begin with. Sharing screens are never as easy as it appears. Okay, so this is the first thing that pops up in your list of things here, and it's just the different numbering system and the different headings and stuff. So as you work through this, you'll see that these are just different things that you can insert. So when you put your numbers in, this is done through your numbering system right here. So if you're selecting and you want to choose your number system and you want it in Roman numerals or you want it in different whatever they're requesting, if you want it in 1, 2, 3, or if you wanted it in the Roman numerals, this is where you're going to choose it right here in your numbering library. So I just wanted to point that out. It's the drop arrow that's down with your numbering, and it's right there, and it's the one next to it is going to give you your multi-list. So if you want certain things indented, like right here, this one is number 2 with an A and a B inside. So this is where you would choose this level. So this would be right here. And if you indented something further, the next thing you would get is another 1, and then you would get a lowercase a, and then you would get a 1 in a bracket. And every indent is going to give you a different style of numbering, so you know it's a subheading of such. So that's the main thing I wanted to point out here was the different numbering systems and the multi-list of the numberings. And now I'm going to move us right into that report that I just had open. I'm going to stop sharing this one, and I'm going to start sharing. And have that one open on this computer for it to show up on this computer. There you go. So now this one is a report that is covered in this chapter here, this module. It actually, you'll see the same report is on 1.83. Sorry, 3.83. So we're talking about left bound and right bound. And what that actually means is your margins. So when you have a bound report, unbound, sorry, no right bound. When you have an unbound report, your report is printed on just normal paper, and it can either be stapled or it's going to be somehow presented where electronically or whatever, where everything is perfectly fine when you're using the 1-inch margins. But what a bound report is, or left bound report, is when you're actually going to use like a hole punch and put it into a duotang or a folder. So you actually just need that little extra space over here because more of this document on the left side of it is going to be used up in the bounding process. So that's what it means when it says left bound, is you're just going to increase your left margin by an extra half an inch so that that extra space will be used up when you put it into a folder or put it into a duotang, and it will in turn make the entire report move over a little bit to the page on the page so it looks like it's more to the right, giving you room to use a folder or something to so you can bound a report. Okay, so all you would do here is when you're starting off a new document, you would adjust your margins so that your margin, which is when you get the double line, this one, you're going to easily be able to click and adjust your margins. So we wanted this one at 1.5 so that it is a left bound. And margins can also be adjusted into your layout, into your page setup over here. You can just go into your margins and you can custom margins. and you could choose left bound at 1.5 instead of 1. Okay, so that is how you would do a left bound report and the reasoning behind it. So, like any report, the first thing, or almost all of our professional documents, you're going to start with a three enters at the top. Make sure when you do your three enters, it's at normal font size. So your font size should be right here. Because even though there's no text or anything in this area, the font size and the settings can still be applied to it. So this right here is in a title font. So we have this one. If we chose it here, it's this title. So it's a large font. So if we put that on before we hit our three enters, I'm just going to change it now. See how big, even though there's nothing typed, the space and the enter can still pick up the formatting. So now it's actually moved down a full extra inch further than we want it. So make sure you do your three enters before you apply any formatting to your text. So as you move into it, you're going to have the title font. So this is just something you're going to select yourself. And the headings, the top headings are going to be selected as well. So based on what they tell you, they want the headings selected is how you would apply the formatting. Once you apply formatting from this section right here, from the style section, Word knows it is a heading. And therefore, when you create your table of contents or different things, Word will automatically pick up your headings without you having to individually type anything in. So with spacing, you generally just have your one blank line in between a paragraph. You get one extra blank line after your title, and you work your way through your document following the rules that is presented. There's also footnotes in this area, which you're going to cover. And when you insert a footnote, you have to do the insert footnote feature, which will in turn make everything happen. So your number will appear into your document. And I'm looking for it right now, trying to find where it is. And I am not. There it is, right here. So once you put your footnote in here, it'll put you right to the note below. So there's your footnote. So you can't type the one in. You can't just magically try and put it in. It actually has to be inserted as a footnote. So inserting footnotes is covered. Where is that covered in this text? Just a second now. Make sure I can give you the exact page. That was originally covered on page 2-92. So it was actually covered a little ways back, and it talks about how and where you would insert it. So if we wanted to just magically put in a second one here, we would go into, now I have to find it. References, I think, end note or next footnote. So you would insert a footnote right here. And when you use the insert footnote, it's going to come up number 2. And wherever we put that footnote, the number 2 is going to be there as a subscript right there. So you can't type that number 2 in. It has to be done with the features using the insert footnote. And then you can go down here and you can put what that footnote refers to. If you're quoting somebody, if it's coming from if it's a different source and you're recording where it has to be, that's where you're going to do it. You're going to do it through insert footnote on the references, and you're going to manage them all there. So in the lesson, in the report you're doing for lesson 70, there is a footnote. So you're going to make sure you do that one. We're also into some page numbering. So we have here a document with nothing on the top. And then on our page 2, we have a page numbering. So if we go into here and we look into our page numbering, this is where you're going to choose your page numbering. So all I did was double click to open up the headers, and here's my page numbering. So if I chose to remove the page numbering, it's gone. And then if I want to put page numbering back in, top of page, and you're choosing your location and which one you want, and we went with the accent bar 2. So our page numbering is not showing up on our first page because we have the different first page checked off. Once the different first page is checked off, Word knows that whatever you're going to apply to this document, it is going to be different than the first page. So therefore, my page number is showing up on page 2, but not on page 1. Okay? Once you get past the first page, because that's the only one that's a suitable option to get a different numbering or anything throughout the whole document. Once you get past that, you're going to have to start using section breaks. So if you need something different, or if you're inserting something that you don't want a page number on, which I'll play with now in a few minutes and demonstrate that. So that covers the bulk of what we're looking at right here. The numbering, the footnotes, and the page numbering. So now let's talk a little bit more about the section breaks and understanding what they're going to do. So let's just say in this, we wanted to create a new page. So if we went insert and we wanted a blank page at the end. So now we have page 3. So all we did, we could have done Control Enter to insert a blank page, or we just inserted a blank page through the insert button. But there's no section breaks. This is just a page break. So a plain page break doesn't tell Word it's a new section you're creating. It just tells Word it's a new page you're creating. So when Word sees it as a new page with a page break, Word is thinking, okay, we're going to keep all the same formatting that we have. It's just moving on to a new page now. So a lot of times, like when we're creating exams and assignments, we'll just use page breaks, because if question 1 ends 3/4 of the way through the page, you're going to want to start question 2 on a new page, so it's not so confusing, or just the first sentence is on the first page or anything like that. So we would just use a page break. But if we'd have numbering or anything in place in our assignment, we want that to stay the same. That doesn't change. It's still going to be page 3 or page whatever. So a plain page break is fine for us. But if you're going to change the formatting completely of a page, then you're going to want to make sure you insert a section break. So that's under your layout tab and your breaks. So then you're going to insert. You could have insert a continuous break right here. So once you insert the continuous section break, now Word knows we're looking at a whole new document over here, and there's going to be things that's different. Okay. So we do have page 2. Our numbering didn't appear here. So it's a new, and we need to make sure the link to previous is turned off. And because it's a new section, we can put whatever we want in this section. So if we want it to just say image below, and we said, okay, we'll just center that, and we'll use that as the heading for this one. And then if we've inserted an image here now as an example, the page numbering is not going to be attached to it. You might want a full page image and you don't want anything in your header. So make sure you play and practice the section breaks and learn how to move around within the section breaks. So if you're inside your header now, you're going to see, and this is what you're going to be looking for. This one says first page header. So it's section 1 and it's a first page header. So now when you get over into section 2 or section 1, because first page header is its own header in its own class, Word don't even really count that as a number 1. So then whatever you applied to your next section is your section 1. So it's first page and then it's section 1 and then it's section 2. So you're moving around these sections by using your next and previous. So if you went to your next one, you will see you're back into section 2. And if you took off different first page here, so that would change it again, and you need to turn your link off. And because we did that, then you would delete what was in it. So once you turn on your headers and you're moving through your sections, you have to be careful which of these you have selected and what page you're working on. You need to make sure when you apply any changes, your cursor is actually flashing on the page and in the section that you want it to be. And then the changes that you apply to that section. So we put back in image again, and we just went and centered it again. Now this is applying only to this section because we have the link to previous turned off. We have the first page headers turned off. So that will go on as for as much as you want it to. So if you close that and you're out and you want it something else again, you would put in another hard page break and you would put in another section break. And once you put in your next section break and you go back in, well, now you're into section 3. So if you turn the link to previous or same as previous off, then whatever you put in this one is going to be just for this one. And we'll close it and you'll see. So section 3 header says test. Section 1 or section 2 header is image. Section 1 header is a page number. And the first page is the first page header, which we left blank. Okay, you can see that whenever you insert a new section break, it frees you up to apply any formatting you want to just that page. And now that you're in that page, you can do anything. It can be page color, it could be borders, it could be columns, it could be whatever you need to change, layout, shape, position, size, you name it. Whatever you decide to change will only apply to the section that you're working in. So I can't stress enough how important it is for you to become familiar with the section breaks and learn how to jump back and forth and understand it. And this is covered in detail in Module 12. So I need you to read through Module 12, work through Module 12, do some extra practice and exercises because this stuff is really important. It's important going forward with your career, not just in this class. This is something that is you're going to want to carry with you, the understanding of headers, footers, and how to change them and insert them. Because whoever you're working for, if they want a document that's more than 2 pages and they want a different header, you are absolutely going to need this. And like I said, it could be anything. They could be they may have a 2-page letter and then they want the attachments of the letter actually included in the document itself. So when they email it or print it or do anything, that they want it all attached as one file, then you could be inserting maps or rules or flyers or anything after it. And the only way you're going to get it to go through where the page numbering or the header you've used is not on every page is by putting in section breaks, turning the link to previous off, and making sure you delete it only in that section. So hopefully that covers all of that for you guys. Now I'm going to switch my documents again. Okay. So now we're into the document where we inserted a cover page. So inserting a cover page is again on your insert, and it's a cover page option. So you would simply make sure your cursor is positioned at the beginning of the document you're going to insert, and you would choose the cover page you want that's pre-designed here for you. And if you didn't want either one of the ones that was here, you would just insert a blank document and you would just type it in yourself. So some of these are great, some of those have some beautiful cover pages depending on the report or what you're asked to do. If you're asked to do an MLA or an APA, then these fancy cover pages is not what goes with that type of report. So you need to know your rules, know how to do all of these things. And this is just where you would insert it. And once it's inserted, you can just double click into any section. You can change anything that you need to change. Now, a lot of the information in this will automatically fill in for you because you're using an insert. So Word looks for the information itself and fills it in. So that's how you're going to insert cover pages. We've talked about headers. Footers are the exact same thing, except instead of being at the top of the page, you're at the bottom of the page. So, and a footer is not a footnote. Those are two completely different things. A footnote is a subnote referring you for something, but a footer is going to show up below that, and a footer is going to be the same rules. Your link to previous, your different first page. Everything you would do for a header is exactly the same. So if you can use one, you can use the other. No problem. Excuse me. So please practice your section breaks and your footers and your headers and your inserting footnotes and all those things from these units. So I've talked about all of this. I get ahead of myself. Gets right excited and starts yammering on here. Okay. So the next thing we're going to talk about is inserting a table of contents and how you're going to update your table of contents. So what is really wicked about Word, when you apply the headings, Word knows that they're there and Word knows that this is a brand new heading. So if you're at the beginning of your document and you want it to insert a table of contents, it's going to be under your reference tab. And once you're under your references, because that's what a table of contents is, it's a reference page. So you're just going to go over into your table of contents. You can hit your drop down arrow, and there is some built-in automatic ones for you. So we're just going to stick in the table of contents one. And as you can see, Word went through my document and looked at each heading that is in my report and filled in my table of contents automatically, which is totally awesome. Now, if I wanted this to be on its own page, I'm just going to simply insert, Control Enter, a page break. So my document moves forward and my table of contents is now on its own page after my title. If you decided to change something in your report, so let's just say we chose communication skills ranked. If we just said, yeah, you know what, I think we're just going to call that communication skills. So if we change that to communication skills and then went up to our table of contents, it doesn't automatically update for you, but you just have to click your update table and you'll say update the entire table and say okay, and then it will change it for you. So having the table of contents inserted through the features available in Word makes it so easy to manipulate and change them, update them, work with them, and updating the information in them. And the same thing for the page numbering. You can, if you added more information, so you put your table of contents in, but you actually didn't have this section finished, and you actually added like 2 pages into the issues with listening. Because if anyone has kids, I'm sure you could write 2 pages on that right there. Just kidding. Well, not really, but you know. So if your pages for your whole report changed because you added more information, more images, more graphics, more anything, then you would just go up here and you would just say update. And if you only change the page numbers, you could just say update the page numbers, and Word will just have a quick look through the document and see what page each heading is actually on right now, and we'll update it for you. Or you can, as always, just update the entire table and it'll do both. And that clues up those 3 modules. So I am going to stop the recording and you guys can ask me any questions you need.